Hello, and welcome to the Human Frequency. We hope you had a very nice Thanksgiving and spent some time with your family or with some friends. We had a very nice Thanksgiving, and it's very interesting. We have had almost no planes in the sky. And when I say that, I'm not talking specifically about no trails in the sky. I mean no planes, period. Nothing up there. And of course, sometimes there are a couple at sunset, but for the majority of the day, there is absolutely no activity of any kind, and we've had very crisp, clear blue skies despite all the craziness that's going on. So this is definitely a sign, and Sharon has been talking about this on her blog for the past week about what's been going on in the sky with the complete absence of planes on some days. So we're going to talk more about this later. But this is very exciting.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is a very big change going on Earth, and there are a lot of people who are really scared right now, and there are a lot of people who are fighting back against the global tyranny, and we were very surprised and kind of even shocked. Not much shocks me anymore, but I was pretty shocked to hear that our friend in the UK, Zach, who is of the YouTube channel Heart Nation, he was actually arrested, and he was arrested for no reason, and so was his friend David Beal, who they interviewed on their channel. I recommend checking out Heart Nation on YouTube and listening to Zach and Shuva, and you can listen to their guest David talking about these experiences of what's going on in the UK. It mirrors what's going on here. I would say one of the big differences is it seems that there's more resistance going on there than here. But they also have tremendous tyranny to deal with. And Zach, the last human being on Earth you would expect to be arrested for anything, got arrested for basically nothing, and so did his friend. And this really shows the urgency of what's going on. They were not even at the protest, kind of on the way to the protest, and they both got harassed
Just
by
walking on the
police
street.
and taken into custody. Zach was let go later, but David was taken into custody because he refused to give any information on himself to the police. So they were both pretty much arrested for what they said was breaking the COVID rules. Really, I can't say what they were doing wrong, even in regards to COVID. Maybe they make them wear masks all the time, like here in California, but it's not a rule. And Zach and David were standing up for themselves, and this is the result. But that's a brave thing to do, and I'm very happy to hear there is some resistance out there. And thank goodness both of these guys are okay. So check out their story on their YouTube channel.
Yes, and in other news, another channel I plug all the time, Servant King, there is some news. Marcus has returned after several years. At least it's been at least 4 or 5 years since he last posted anything, not just a video, but just any type of information, new information on his website. He is going to be doing a series of live webinars starting in early 2021. So this is very exciting, and the timing couldn't be more perfect, I must say.
If you go to his YouTube, he took his videos down.
Yeah, he did make his videos temporarily unavailable, so you will have to go to his website. He does apologize for that, and he says that he's restructuring the website, so we should have access to the videos again soon, plus whatever else that he's working on. And that website again is www.servantking.info.
And we're actually going to reach out to him at some point and see if we can talk with him. But right now he's very busy preparing this new series. We're very excited to see this because it's very easy nowadays to despair over the things going on. And we really need guidance and we really need help. And there's almost no teachers out there to explain these things. And Marcus actually does explain it in a way that the other teachers don't explain anymore, because what's happened is the reason that so many of our teachers have kind of dropped off the map or are no longer able to teach us is because the truth has been revealed beyond what even the teachers knew. So if you can imagine that what's going on is even beyond what the experts that we look to knew, it's overwhelming, and we do need somebody who can wade through all this and help us out.
Yeah, and different truths require different teachers. specifically because of the mind control. And I'm not just talking about the stuff that's coming out of the EMF emitters. I'm just talking about the regular programming that's in place, the training and the indoctrination that we all have. Every one of us has this to some degree, and that's what keeps us from progressing to that next level. We have this very myopic view on what is possible.
Right. It's not just that we don't believe. It's not even about that. It's that we can't even conceive of, we can't create even in our minds what could be. And we're looking to, I'm not saying I am, but a lot of people are looking to government leaders for help right now. They're very scared of this curable disease, this is the crazy part about it. It's a disease with a cure. People are scared of it. They're looking to government leaders for help. People are looking to religious leaders for help. But your priest, your rabbi, your pastor, they are all indoctrinated the same way that we are. How are we going to get answers to a problem that's beyond the mind of man?
And the government actors that we call leaders, they are also going to be in just the same as the religious leaders. So we can't look at either of these two areas for any type of guidance, because we're just always going to be redirected back into the very problem that we're trying to extricate ourselves out of.
Yeah,
so
a
that's
human
not
mind
gonna work.
can't. A human mind cannot solve this problem, and so this brings me to one of the biggest lies. There are so many big lies that we've had to overcome with our minds, and the one that's really plaguing us right now is that we are all separate nations. This is a huge lie, because global tyranny that is happening right now is proving that we're actually all one family. All of the governments throughout the entire world are doing the exact same things to their people. It's worldwide, it's unanimous. All the governments are doing the same thing.
Yep, lockstep. And first, let's take a look at what the word nation means, because a lot of people think it means country. It does not. It just means to be born of. That's where it comes from, a Latin word. And nation is a family. You're born of a family. Of course, in the context it's used most often, that's not a real family. We are all born of one family, and that's God's family. But this whole country thing, that's a fake family. It's not our true family.
It's actually even proving itself. So the government's very actions from one country to the next, they're all doing the same thing. They're all making people hide the face, and they're getting towards mandating a vaccine, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure they're going to say that any citizen of every country is going to have to do certain things to their bodies or suffer penalties. I think it's going that way.
It certainly is.
The fact that everyone is doing this is proof that there already is a one world government in place today, and it's all at the insistence of Satan, and that we are all at war with this beast. All us humans are the same, and all these countries are just invisible, non-existent, really, lines in the sand, just lines in the sand and paperwork that supposedly differentiates one group of us from another. In actuality, the war is the parasites versus the humans. And we did talk about this a while back in an episode called Remember Who the Real Enemy Is.
And also we said humans/AI war is just beginning.
This was in the summertime, right before Gabe and I went on our ranching misadventure that we talked about a little while ago. We've been on a crazy journey since this computer virus started. Just a little background there. My book came out in February. A week later, everything locked down. And the parasites obviously don't like a book being out there that explains how to kill them and remove them from our planet. Right. So that's what happened there. And so with all the lockdowns, we put our gifting on hold, which we had to do anyway, because in order to finish and publish the book, we had to stop. So in late 2019, right before the COVID wheels were set in motion, we did the gifting of Silicon Valley, then the book, then COVID. And we were pretty much realizing that we were already in so much danger on that trip and had to deal with stuff that was kind of dangerous with law enforcement. And not to get into it right now, but we were very fortunate to get out of that in one piece. We decided, and I don't think we decided, I think God decided for us, no gifting right now. So we went into a ranching misadventure because we thought that we were going to live on the land and not use dollars, but it didn't work out. Explain all that. And that's when I was realizing that this war was really underway. When we tried to actually pull out of the system completely and just even get out of dollars and everything, that's when I was realizing this is really going down now. And now, months after that, we're back in a safe home and back to doing episodes. And I realized it's even gone farther. Everything that has been prophesied in the Bible is happening right now. Not in the future, it's right now. And it's not happening in a way that we recognize because we think it's going to be beasts with like 7 heads and stuff like that. It's really not like that. Dreamlike sequences in the Bible are metaphors for what's happening today. You just have to understand what Gabe said about that we are one nation, that these divisions are fake.
And the only beast that there is out there is us putting all of our heads together and forming these countries, these idols.
Strictly forbidden.
This is idolatry. This is what he's talking about in the first and second commandments. Don't do those things. I'm your God. You are my people.
So what's happening, and I'm seeing this worldwide, is that people are opposed to what's going on, but the people were the ones that created the beast, and we don't realize it because we're so indoctrinated and we're born into this thing that we think that when we could tear this whole thing down, all we have to do is put our heads together and come up with a better way. That is a trap, and it's not going to work. That's what started this mess in the first place, is people putting their heads together to come up with a better way. That's democracy. And the end result of democracy is that your servant, the people you're voting for, become your master.
Yep.
And the end result is if just 1% more wants everyone to be poisoned by needle or not be able to conduct commerce, then the other 49% is going to have to be poisoned by needle against their will. So as you see, even protesting doesn't work because you're protesting your own will. You're protesting the government you put there. The only way out is to go back to God's law, and that means no countries. Mm-hmm. You have to get rid of the idea of security in your government, social security. You have to get rid of those kind of ideas. Utility services provided by governments, you have to get rid of that. And big corporations too. We have to get rid of that. Southern California Edison and others are turning power off willy-nilly for no reason in California all the time. Why did we put all our eggs in one basket? How come everybody in our whole neighborhood and most of Southern California relies on one huge mega corporation to provide a basic need? Why did we do this? Why did we pull it all into one? This is the problem. So no, we're not going to be able to put our heads together and come up with a better idea. Humans cannot solve this problem.
Here's another mega corporation that we can all do without: religions. Religions are corporations. I don't know if you know this or not, but they're all registered. They're all creations of man, not creations of God. The word religion only appears a couple of times in the Bible. It's not. Religion means to rebind. So again, you're born a certain way, and you're becoming something that you're not. That's what the whole thing is all about. And like you just said, we need to stop with this false relationship, serving this idol, this country, and turn back to our true Creator. And what has possessed us, literally, to turn to this false God. And we have to take an honest look now at what that one is. We out of many we are one. That one is parasitic. It's not human in nature.
That's true. So when we are conducting commerce in their society, we are still in their religious establishments. So that's why the other day I said that Whole Foods is a religious institution. And when you're in there, you have to follow the rules of their religion. I was in the market last week. We went into town and bought some food, and you have to wear a mask. Here up in the mountains, a lot of the time, people don't do it. People don't really believe in it as much. Some people do, but they're not even that. They're not rude to you if you don't do it necessarily.
It's far less strict up here.
I said to Gabe, well, I guess we have to do this because we're in their religious institution. So you have to cover the face because that's their custom. That's the rebinding religion.
Yeah.
You turn away from God and you turn to the false God, ultimately ourselves, governing ourselves. I mean, can you imagine? I can't stand it when people talk about their own sovereignty and self-ownership and this stuff. Even the nicest people, they don't understand what it means. I know they don't mean it like, I want to be Satan and usurp the throne of God. I know that's not their intention, but that is ultimately what we've been tricked into. So remember, the alternative to the mainstream is still most of the time a trap. And any easily attainable information is probably a lie.
Yeah.
The easier it is and the more popular it is, the more suspect it is. And when people are telling you about owning yourself, governing yourself, being sovereign, and common law, they are telling you, hey, we have a new way for you to usurp the throne of God. And you could feel good about this because you could do whatever you want now. You won't have to deal with the government anymore. Just sign some stuff on a piece of paper, make up some fake documents, create your own little government is what it is. Creating your own legal fictions is what it is. It's not the answer. It's just another version of the same thing. It just sounds better to people who want freedom, like the libertarians sound better to people who don't like Democrats. It's still the same system.
Well, it's hard to find solutions if you can't identify what the problem even is. And all of these things out there, yeah, they're leading back to the same main problem here that we have just been unable to get past. And now it's really starting to come to a head. The closer we get towards this mandatory vaccination thing, which you know is coming. I mean, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to know that this is the end goal here.
Yeah.
So we really have to just take an honest look at what's going on here and start understanding what we have done, the problem that we have created.
Yeah, and as Gabe mentioned, that the root of all this is a parasitic influence. So, when we talk about God and Satan, God is life. God is creation. God is what gave us life. And when we talk about parasites, we're talking about the satanic influence on earth. So if you can break it down to God and Satan, you could break it down to life force and deadly radiation. It's the same thing. So these are energetic forces. And the Bible prophesied that humans would be given a delusional force that they believe a lie, and God is now weeding them out. We don't need the ones that can't decipher all this. But what's behind all these governments ultimately is the parasites. Parasites. And they're all about deadly energy. They are using us as an energy farm for them, and they need to constantly be generating fear.
Yeah, because they need the DOR to survive. It's not just that that's what they're about. That's their sustenance.
Right.
That's their very existence right there. And if they don't get it, or they don't get enough of it, they're going to start dying off. And we're starting to see evidence of this right now.
Yep, they are. So what they've done is, because now war has become obsolete, because you can't really get people to fight each other like that anymore. We are past that. The human race is waking up to a degree. I know it seems like it's not. There are a few that are. It only takes a few. Most of them are going to perish. That's a fact. But the human race is waking up, and so wars become obsolete. They can't convince us to fight people on the other side of the line in the sand anymore. So what they're doing now is they're using this divide and isolate tactic. They've got the race wars going, which, as far as I can tell out in the world, people don't feel this way. I don't see the racism they're talking about. I see the news headlines, but I don't see it in my own life. And I'm around all kinds of people in the city. When I go in, there's all kinds of people, and I don't see any problems between them. So this is the division. They're trying to create a false division, like, you're a different color than you. I mean, that is a stupid thing to do. It's so obsolete, just like war. And then the isolation.
Yeah.
So divide them and then isolate them. Get them to be afraid of each other. We're all just, disgusting germ bags now walking around. I mean, the most healthy of us are also going to be treated as the most unhealthy when the one decides that the vaccination is what makes a healthy man or woman. Those actually healthy ones that refuse to take poison and eat healthy food and drink clean water and live a healthy life in general, we're the ones that are going to be treated like the outcast.
Yeah.
It's all about isolating people from each other.
The medical industry, though, is really leading that charge. And you've talked to me before about this medical dictatorship.
Yep.
I mean, what's going on here is that I think I can speak honestly here. None of us believe anything that the media says. I know I don't. It's a complete 100% distrust. And on the other side, I don't believe anything that the medical industry says, the pharmaceutical companies. I mean, we're talking about an entity that is beyond corrupt. So what's going on here is that we have the media and the medical industry distrust combining into this big unstoppable beast of distrust. That's what's going on here. It's just, you can't believe anything anymore. All of these statistics about numbers skyrocketing, it's all just BS.
Well,
and it's so obvious.
Interestingly, and I've been writing about this for the past week, the way that I can actually read the consciousness of the earth on any given day is by looking at the sky. And that's what my book is all about, is how human consciousness affects the sky. We think of chemtrails as the government is spraying us. That is a false paradigm. The government is spraying us as a false paradigm. It's a lie. We are involved in interdimensional warfare. This simplistic narrative given to us by the alternative media, the ones that are there to ensnare those of us who don't believe the mainstream, it's a lie. That's like, it's so beyond simplistic 3D explanation for something on such a higher level. The sky is a direct reflection of human consciousness. It's a direct reflection, like a status report on the humans versus AI war. What goes on up there can tell you what's going on down here. For the last week, and ever since Thanksgiving, there's been almost no planes in the sky. Not just no chemtrails, but no planes. It's going to be very hard for people to understand this. People think the planes go by and leave white lines and then they spread out and cover the sky. The reality of it is that the whiteout in the sky is an indicator of deadly radiation in the atmosphere. It is not about chemicals. It's about how the natural elements of the atmosphere, our Earth, react to being bombarded with deadly radiation. And water is a major part of what's up there. This is a water planet. There are oceans. We are made of water. Most of the world is oceans, water. The sky is full of water. Look at what happens to the water when it has deadly energy hitting it, like the Masaru Emoto experiments with the water crystals. Look at how water reacts to life-giving, positive, loving energy versus deadly radiation, negative words, negative thoughts. So what happened in the sky was that around a little before Thanksgiving, we had been having these perfect clear days.
Oh yeah, the first 2 weeks of November, pristine. And then they announced this further clampdown, this curfew, this unenforceable curfew. And the sky immediately reflected the emotional state of the people at large.
See, within a day it changed, because what's happening is, as I mentioned, they're using this divide and isolate tactic because they can't have us fight each other with wars anymore. War is a huge DOR generator for them. The parasites require deadly radiation. It's deadly to us, it's good for them, but it's bad for us, and they need to go. They require it to be here. They require it for their energy farming. They feed off of us, and they also require it for traversing our atmosphere. They cannot be here. They cut in and out. They can only enter our dimension when the energy is conducive to it. They are lower dimensional beings than us, actually. They've just suppressed our higher dimensional capabilities. So what happened was, all of a sudden, the sky had enough, the atmosphere had enough DOR in it generated by our suffering. All the Californians were suffering under this tyranny because California has become a dictatorship. And the sky reflected it. The people were putting out the frequency of fear, and that's the primary frequency. I know there's other ones in there, like anger. A lot of people feel angry towards the government. But I think fear is the primary instinct that people are having now. So, of course, the sky was covered in trails. What happened was, it wasn't that they just came, they started spraying us again. I think the Air Force took a few days off, and the Air Force came back and sprayed us. This is a false paradigm. It's a lie. The Air Force isn't doing this. This is a lie told by independent media.
Yeah, that narrative is completely fictional.
It's the UFO cover-up, okay? It's the ET cover-up. It's the extra-dimensional parasitic cover-up. That's what that is. So they all came back because we were generating an energy field that they could be here, and the sky got covered. You can look at my blog, see what's happened in the last couple of weeks. They wanted to ruin Thanksgiving too. They told us we can't get together with our loved ones. They want us isolated on the most special day. Thanksgiving is a beautiful holiday. It's my favorite day of the year. It's my favorite holiday. And they want to keep us apart from each other. But guess what? People got together anyway.
Yeah.
And guess what? Thanksgiving, pristine, perfect sky, no more flyers.
The sky
They
reflected
couldn't
it.
even come through
Yeah.
because people were having a great time. So you see, the energy flipped again. And what we've done with Orgonite is we've put such a huge grid over the western U.S., just the western states on the coast, mostly. And it's so changed the energy that was the beginning of their end. They can't deal with that. We were neutralizing their energy grid. They have the dark grid of the cell towers everywhere. We neutralized that. And between us and everyone else doing this, that's taken care of. Now they just rely on us to generate it, and they can barely do that anymore. They are dying off. It's a fact they are dying.
Thanksgiving was huge. When the parasites sat down for their Thanksgiving dinner, expecting to eat a lot of human suffering and misery, there was just scraps.
Yeah, they're dying. And they should die, because we should have no compassion for them, because they aren't life as we know it. They're not life. They're a computer program. It's very hard for a human, because we're good in our hearts. We want to love our enemy. I actually think a lot of people want to handle it that way, but we shouldn't love the parasites, but we can give them love because it kills them. They aren't human. They are useless. They are a computer program run amok, and we've given it life, basically. We've continued to feed it and let it control us on Earth, and now it's taking control of our very lives. Everything's done by computer now. The human mind is run by computer through the cell phone. They're taking over, and so we need to kick them out. And from what I see in the sky, it is working. I mean, the winds are also big. The winds are from the east, which is unusual. So the weather control shills online are going to say, the government is changing the jet stream, and they're doing...
Nope.
A jet stream reversal is an OR shift. A jet stream reversal, according to Wilhelm Reich, who discovered orgone energy and how the atmospheric energies work, he wrote in Cosmic Superimposition that the jet stream reversal is a function of an OR shift, like high orgone energy will cause that to go the wrong way sometimes. And that's what's happening right now. So they like to call it Santa Ana winds, although it's very cold. It's not hot winds. And they like to call them dry winds, as if winds have a temperature, right? Because what happens is they want to say the winds are the cause of wildfires because of global warming, and also because of power companies. And I guarantee you the power companies are being paid a lot of money to take the fall for all these wildfires in California, and that they most likely didn't even set the fires.
Yeah, dry winds.
I think it's arson. It's mind control.
It's a nonsense. It's like gluten-free winds. It's like winds don't have dry or wet in them. It's just air.
It has a speed, and because of high wind speeds, they turned off power on a lot of people, thousands of households on Thanksgiving, yet it still didn't ruin Thanksgiving. They've been threatening to turn off power for days now because of the wind, although we know that in the past, wind was not a reason to turn off the electrical power, but they're taking the fall for these arson-related fires, and the whole thing is they're all working together. All of these mega corporations are all run by the parasites. They're not run by humans. They want to perpetuate a lie of global warming, and they do that by saying these fires are just setting themselves because it's, in the summer, it's 100 degrees out, then the grass just lights on fire. That's not how it works.
We can expect the lies to get more and more outrageous as they get more and more desperate for the sustenance they need. This is at the crux of what's going on here. So, yeah, you can expect some just... I mean, we think it's crazy now. I never could have predicted this a year ago.
No.
Nobody could have. But here we are, sure enough, and it's only going to get more wacky.
Yeah, well, so what's happening is we need to take our energy away from the beast completely. And We've done a lot with Orgonite, and that's really done a lot to shift consciousness and make it impossible for the parasites to live here. So they're kind of going haywire right now, and they're trying to put the clamp down and get as much food as possible and consume as much of their resources here before they're completely evicted, which will happen. Unfortunately, many, many humans are going to die in the process. And so we just need to be on the right side of things right now. And it's hard to stay positive. That's why I'm very, very glad that Marcus is making more videos, because most of the teachers are gone, because everybody is under some level of mind control. Every human being is. There's no way around that. Each and every one of us, even our teachers, are. So we just have to do the best we can with to find information. And we're not going to find it anywhere within the mind of a mere mortal. All of the stuff that's going to help us is coming from God. So I have to warn you that as the paradigm changes and the government collapses, that there's going to be snares to set up new governments, even small little societies. When you're starting to elect leaders and use human minds to come up with ideas of how to run things, this is where it's all going to fall apart. It has to be completely 100% the will of God, or it won't work.
100%. Complete subservience.
Complete submission.
And I also have to put forth a warning of my own, is that, and I know this because, again, the word of God, it's prophesied. You can't do anything about the majority of these people. A lot of people, when that vaccine comes out, they're going to take it. Their best case scenario, they get sick. Worst case scenario, they die. Mm-hmm. So that there's really nothing you can do about all of these people. Most of them are not going to make it, and that's just the way it is. There's nothing you can do to save them. And I've thought about this many times. I've just sat there and thought about all of those people that aren't going to make it, but there is nothing you can do. You can only work on yourself and those in your immediate surroundings. That's it.
Well, and even for your immediate surroundings, you can only do so much for people. So what I've been doing lately is when I feel that someone is able to handle the information, I let them know about MMS, which is the cure for all infectious diseases. And if people knew about it, they wouldn't have been able to use COVID to scare us. So I let people that I think can handle it know. I do explain it as a water purification that's used for camping. You can actually buy it on Amazon now. You just take a higher dose than what is used to purify water. And you do it the way we've described in past videos. I explain it to use it like you would any antibiotic when you're sick. So I do explain that to people. If you want to know about that, check out some of our older videos. We put one out right before COVID about using this medication for the flu.
We've used it many times successfully.
We've cured some pretty nasty things too. So, biowarfare bugs and things like that. So I let people know there's a cure if they're ready. If people are really, really ready, then we do talk about the Word of God. But the part that people can't handle, and this includes most people who do read the Bible, they cannot understand that your government is against God, and you cannot set up a new one, and you cannot set up new countries when this one falls apart.
And you can't fix it.
You can't do it. People are going to have to learn that you can't have the government as your savior anymore. We can get together and do things. We can farm together, and of course we can run businesses together. We can do whatever we need to do, or I've heard about people putting together healthcare kind of co-ops and things. You can do things together, but it cannot be your God, and it cannot rule you.
You can't serve it.
Yeah.
As soon as that one becomes sovereign, that's what's prohibited.
And if you think you can become sovereign, that's prohibited.
There is only one sovereign.
And we have no control of this. We are just doing our part, act according to the script. We all have a role here. We all have a responsibility. God knows more than we do. We don't know anything, okay? Anybody who thinks that they're an expert and knows anything does not. I don't either. I just present what I learn as I learn it. Things sometimes change too. And if I learn something new, then I let you know, hey, I didn't have that totally right. Like many years ago, I said, the government's spraying us with barium, strontium, and aluminum. That's a lie. Those are extra-dimensional operations up there. That's the parasites. If the government were spraying us, you wouldn't see planes wobbling out of control and spiraling into oblivion when they confront orgone energy. That's what happens to UFOs, ET craft that can't handle that energy. So that's a big one for people. But this is a war beyond human. You might find it easier to think of it as God versus Satan rather than OR versus DOR. But it's the same thing. And these parasites, they're not human. They're artificial intelligence. We should show them no mercy. And their reign of terror is ending.
But we have to initiate that expelling process. Yeah. We have to do something. We can't just sit back. See, this is where a lot of the religious people, unfortunately, they fall into a snare, is that they think it's just going to be done for them. And I know a lot of people in the New Age movement, they fall into the same trap. We have to make the effort. If we just sit back and wait for someone else to do it for us, we're just going to be sitting and sitting and sitting until one day there's a knock on the door and it's some guy holding a syringe.
This is why I am happy that Zach stood up and that David stood up in England against the tyranny. And I don't think protesting is the answer. And I think we'll have a talk with Zach soon about what this all means and, how it affected him and what protesting means. Because I really, really respect the protesters, but they're not going to achieve it that way. However, I do think that we will achieve it by saying no. We'll achieve it by saying no, but trying to reform the government or show them or teach them a lesson, it won't work, but we can get out. And we do explain the first steps to getting out. And the purpose of that is to save you from the vaccine. You will not have to take it if you get out. So please watch the name and identity episodes for information on that. But I really respect the people who have done things that they understand to fight back. And I think the new fight will be a spiritual fight. It's very much done from inside your heart with a connection with God. And it sounds simplistic to most people. They think it's going to have to be, a battle in the streets. It's not. No. That's not the answer. More fighting is not the answer.
The battle is over property in the end.
Yeah.
And the time is at hand.
And we are the property, by the way. We are God's property.
I'm very excited about these live webinars. I can't wait. So we are going to update you as we learn more.
Yeah. So yes, this will be all about giving the property back to God, not taking back your sovereignty, not owning yourself, but giving yourself back to your Father, back to your owner. Let him take care of you. You serve him, he will take care of you. If you serve your government, they will not take care of you. If you tithe to them, they will not take care of you. Yeah. So that's the answer here. It sounds confusing, but it's not when you start to put it into practice. It takes years, though. It's just starting to sink in for me. I got out 5 years ago. I became alive again, but I didn't truly understand it until recently. So anyway, thank you for listening. This is The Human Frequency. Our website is thekembo.com. We will put links to our website and some of the other things we mentioned in the show in the description. You can come to our website to learn more about Orgonite, Orgone energy, and learn how you can make your own. You can also support our shop, and you could give us a donation. We are very happy if you just make and gift Orgonite. So we give you all the information you need to do that yourself.
The time has never been better to evict the parasites.
And they hate Orgonite, but people love them. So they're fun to make and they're beautiful and
good Christmas gifts.
They're great Christmas gifts. And they do happen to have a really important energetic function in clearing these deadly radiations and these deadly entities from your environment. You don't need them around you. We don't need them here anymore. And I see them leaving. I see the changes happening. It's not going to come without a fight, but the fight is spiritual. So just keep that in mind and don't be afraid. We will be back with more information very soon. Thanks for listening.